Hi, welcome to Just the Disc. My name's Brian. We normally talk about Blu-rays here, but I'm going to try and do another one of these Blu-ray upgrade wishlist kind of videos where I talk about movies that I love that are on DVD but have not yet made it to Blu-ray. I did one of these previously, and I hope you enjoyed it. I could do these all day long. I immediately made this next stack of movies after I did that one, and I've been meaning to record this video ever since, and I just have a wall of DVDs over here. I don't have a lot of DVDs left. Mostly I've gotten rid of the stuff as I upgrade to Blu-ray, but there's definitely a good bunch of them there that I will never part with because these are some favorite films that really need to be on Blu-ray. And I'll start with one of my absolute favorites. This is Straight Time with Dustin Hoffman and Gary Busey and the great Harry Dean Stanton and Teresa Russell. And this movie is just fantastic. It is it's a con movie. A guy played by Dustin Hoffman gets out of jail. He's sort of got a history of armed robbery, and he finds it very difficult to reacclimate himself into society. And he has a real jerk of a parole officer played by M. Emmett Walsh. And if you've ever seen the Coen Brothers movie Blood Simple, I've heard Joel Coen talk about the brothers seeing Straight Time and seeing what truly not nice parole officer Emmett Walsh could be, and how that inspired them to cast him then as the detective character in Blood Simple. And you can definitely see the similarities. And Emmett Walsh is one of the great character actors of all time, and he is fantastic in this movie. Very hateable. Very hard on Max Dembo, who's played by Dustin Hoffman. This movie is based on a novel called No Beast So Fierce by Eddie Bunker, who is actually an ex-con himself turned writer. And if you've ever seen Reservoir Dogs, he plays Mr. Blue in Reservoir Dogs. He's also in this movie briefly as a bartender, I think. But No Beast So Fierce is a really great book, and it definitely gives you the sense of the life of a career criminal and what it's like to get out of jail, and what your options are and how you deal with stuff. And anyway, it's a little bit of a downbeat movie, but boy, it's really, really good. And I've always been a huge fan, and I was just excited when this DVD came out, to be honest. But it's just one of those movies that really, like an Elmore Leonard, but grittier. I mean, Elmore Leonard's pretty gritty, but there's a little more sizzle to an Elmore Leonard story than this, and this is a bit more low-key in terms of the drama, but still nonetheless compelling. And Harry Dean Stanton is a buddy of his that he meets up with when he decides he might want to get back into the life. And Harry Dean is he's so good in this movie. And Gary Busey's in it, and Jake Busey is in it as his son in the movie. Jake Busey's wife is played by... oh, damn it, I forgot now. Kathy Bates. But it's a really fantastic drama, and one that was a perennial employee pick for me back in the day when I used to work at the video store. And I really hope Warner Archive puts this out. It's definitely in the wheelhouse of some of the stuff they've been releasing. I think they still own it, but you can see it in HD streaming if you want. This DVD has a few features which I'd love to see ported over. It has a commentary by Dustin Hoffman and director Ulu Grossbar, and a vintage featurette, Straight Time. He wrote it for criminals, which is a good featurette, and that commentary is very good. So this is tailor-made for Blu-ray. Just port those features over and we're good. But just a really great crime film from the 70s, late 70s, I think 78. And I think Tarantino is a fan of it and a fan of Eddie Bunker as he cast him in the movie. And I'm sure he likes No Beast So Fierce. And there's another movie Eddie Bunker wrote, the book that it's based on. It's called Animal Factory. It has Mickey Rourke and Steve Buscemi and Eddie Furlong, I think. I don't like it nearly as much as Straight Time, but it is also very interesting. But this is one of my number one, please bring this to Blu-ray kind of movies. So Straight Time. Next up, we have Oh Lucky Man, Malcolm McDowell, Lindsay Anderson. I want to say this is like 73. It's part of a series of movies. The character he plays is named Mick Travis. The first movie is If from 68, about sort of British private school and the revolution within, if you will. And this is the second part of the story with Mick Travis, and the third part is called Britannia Hospital. I've talked about the Blu-rays for that. There's a Kino Blu-ray and an Indicator Blu-ray, but there is still no, that I know of, Blu-ray for Oh Lucky Man, which is my favorite of the trilogy and maybe my favorite Malcolm McDowell movie. Yes, above Clockwork Orange, which I do think is really intriguing when watched with this film, because both are oddly coming of age in some way, like young adult coming of age or whatever. Mick Travis is sent to South America to help with selling coffee, and the story just spins way out from there. I'm not even going to remotely try to synopsize the plot, but it is an epic story. It's a 2-disc movie, so I want to say it's like close to 178 minutes, just 2 minutes shy of 3 hours, but absolutely mesmerizing and a fantastic performance from Malcolm McDowell, one of his best, if not his best. And it has a really, really excellent musical score by oh man, now of course I'm going to forget who did the score, but I absolutely love it, from the Animals. Alan Price. And I have it on vinyl. Just a ton of great songs that were, I think, written for the film, and they have that thing where they sort of act as a Greek chorus. The band shows up in the movie, and the music is just perfect. It's so good. Just another thing that makes this movie great, but needs to be on Blu-ray. This has a commentary by Malcolm McDowell, Alan Price, and screenwriter David Sherwin. A new feature-length career profile, Oh Lucky Malcolm, which is great too, and vintage featurette. Any of those features, again, Warner Archive, Criterion. You've already done If. Let's do Oh Lucky Man, please. Okay. This one's a little more obscure. It's called Walking the Edge, with Robert Forster and Nancy Kwan. This one is from Anchor Bay. We love that sailboat logo. I have several of the sailboat logo discs over on my shelf there, because a lot of them haven't come out yet. This one is the story of a Los Angeles taxi driver who is played by Robert Forster, and he gets pulled into... Well, basically Nancy Kwan and her family get some trouble with some gangster, but like low level, more like thugs, led by Joe Spinell, who's always great and is incredibly creepy in this movie, as he often is. She gets involved with them and is seeking revenge, and one day hires a cab to take her to a place where she wants to shoot somebody, and then Robert Forster gets sucked into the drama with the thugs, and it becomes not quite Death Wishy, but a little bit of that, in the territory of Death Wish, or in the territory of Vigilante, although Vigilante is a better movie than this, and I'm excited for that 4K, by the way, when that comes out. But really a pretty solid thriller, and I love that it's set in LA. Death Wish movies are, well, I guess there are some LA-based Death Wish movies as well, but I'm just used to a lot of New York stuff, and this is nice to see LA. And Nancy Kwan is very good, and Joe Spinell, and I'm trying to think, there's a few other people I recognized, but this has an audio commentary with the director and Nancy Kwan and Robert Forster. And by the way, R.I.P. Robert Forster, gone too soon, such a great actor, and there's still so many films that he did that I feel like, Alligator, right off the top of my head, I'm like, where's the Blu-ray for Alligator? There's a lot of his stuff that isn't on Blu-ray. Really great work, and a heck of a class actor. So, Walking the Edge, would love to see a Blu-ray for this. A little music-related stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, The Fabulous Stains. Lou Adler directed picture, and God, I love this movie. All about like a small town girl played by Diane Lane, who her name is Corinne Burns. She wants to change her name to Third Degree Burns, and her band is the Fabulous Stains. And she is made a small celebrity by a segment on a television news program where I think she's working in a fast food place or something like that, and she has like this not meltdown but like freak out where she just flips out on some guy about, you know, privilege and things like that. And it ends up going the equivalent of 80s viral, where basically people see her on the news and they're writing in about her. And so they do a follow-up interview with her. And just about that time, she and her cousin or good friend, I can't remember, Laura Dern, a very young Laura Dern, are looking to take their band and go on the road. Her parents' situation is not great. And they end up joining a tour with a punk band led by the great Ray Winstone. And it's sort of, again, a coming-of-age story in a very dark context as they gain popularity and, you know, sort of are coming into their own as musicians. Like, they're not very good at playing instruments, but they have a message, and they are sort of influencing people. It's definitely one of those relevant movies about celebrity and the sort of dark side of celebrity. You know, not quite King of Comedy level, but like in the conversation with films like that. But just a fantastic performance by Diane Lane. She absolutely kills it. This movie was unavailable for a long time, and until this DVD came out. Thankfully, this one you can get streaming. It's available, at least it was, on Vudu and platforms like that. But I like this DVD a lot, and it has, let's see here, it has commentary by Diane Lane and Laura Dern, audio commentary by director Lou Adler, and I don't think it got a release. I think it was one of those movies that he made and something happened. I can't remember the story, but it didn't really come out, but it aired on TV, and then you could only get bootlegs for years. I had a VCD of this movie for the longest time, and so I was excited about the DVD, but let's get a Blu-ray, people. Come on, it's time. This is a very important movie. Supposedly Times Square is coming out. That's another movie that I would have put on a pile of movies I would love to have on Blu-ray. Once that's out, the next movie that's like that and would be a great double bill with it is this, and this needs to come out soon. Ladies and gentlemen, The Fabulous Stains. We have Sleuth. Not the remake, the original with Michael Caine and Laurence Olivier. This one was a movie that I know Rian Johnson talked about specifically as an influence on Knives Out. He mentions it on the Mysteries episode of Pure Cinema podcast, which we did in 2019, which was a great conversation with him. But yeah, this movie is a masterclass. I know you've heard that before, but it's basically just two actors. You've got Olivier, who plays a guy whose wife is cheating on him with Michael Caine. Michael Caine, I think, is like a hairdresser or something, and he comes to the house of Olivier, and it just becomes this sort of tete-a-tete, this sort of cat and mouse. I don't even want to go into detail about it, but just the two of them kind of trying to, I don't know, fool each other, or you don't know what their motives are and what they're doing and what the end game will be and where this movie will end up. And I want to say it's over 2 hours and mostly just two people in a house. And again, it is absolutely mesmerizing. It's such a great watch, and you will definitely see why Rian Johnson likes it and why he would, be influenced by it for something wonderful like Knives Out. This one crazily has, again, there's that Anchor Bay flag. Never been on Blu-ray that I know of in the States, at least. I don't think it's been on Blu-ray overseas. This version of the disc, there were a couple different Anchor Bay releases. Some have this 23-minute thing with director Anthony Schaefer, who did the Wicker Man and Frenzy. He didn't direct Frenzy, but I think he worked on it. And There's a Sleuthian journey with Anthony Schaefer, a 23-minute featurette. So this version of it has that little interview with him, which is great. I really liked watching that after watching Knives Out, rewatching the movie, and then wanting to get inside his head. So very good movie and needs a Blu-ray like nobody's business. It should have happened already, but come on. Great stuff. Okay. Dogfight. This one is from 91. From director Nancy Savoca, who did a movie called True Love. I think that was her breakout with Annabella Sciorra, which is also a really good movie. Also not on Blu-ray that I know of. But this movie is my favorite of hers, and it is really good stuff. Underseen for those that like River Phoenix and Lily Taylor. The premise is that it's the late 60s, and a group of Marines comes into this town. I forget where. San Francisco. That's right. And they have a very cruel game that they play called having a dogfight, which is trying to pick up a girl and bringing them to a bar or whatever for a party. And the guy with the ugliest date wins the dogfight. And there's money in a pot that they win. It's a really crappy thing to do. So we see these Marines pulling into San Francisco. We see them as they're courting various girls around town that they think could win them the dogfight. And then we see River Phoenix, and he comes across this girl played by Lily Taylor working in a diner. And she's a sweet person, and she is she's a singer-songwriter type, and it's a coffee shop. I'm sorry, I think it's a coffee shop. And so then it becomes a thing where he's sort of already asked her to go, but is starting to feel bad about it and sort of tries to talk her out of it, but she wants to go. And so then he's like, I'm stuck here between doing this horrible thing and hurting this person's feelings, and I guess I'm just going to roll with it. And so you sort of get them getting to know each other. And what's interesting, and not to give away too much, but the story goes beyond that one night and actually, fast forwards a little past that. And I've always found that to be an interesting structural thing that the movie does. But it's two fantastic performances from two great actors. And River Phoenix, obviously also gone too soon. And this one, among many films he was wonderful in, is one that I feel like is not getting the attention that I wish it would. You can also stream this in SD. I don't think it's available in HD. I could be wrong about that streaming. But this is another one that I feel like Warner Archive could do in a heartbeat if they wanted to. Maybe they don't think the demand is there, but this has become, I think, a cult film. And this has a great audio commentary with director Nancy Savoca and producer Richard Guay. And I really like that track, so they would really need to bring that over. But yeah, really a fantastic movie from her. And if you've never seen it, track it down. It is just a real gem. That's Dogfight. Got one from Warner Archive here. This is Change of Pace, Magic Boy. This is from, I believe, 1959. One of the earlier examples of Japanese animation, and a movie I'd never heard of until Warner Archive put out this DVD. The DVD does look pretty good. You can see a little bit of the animation on the back there. And it's just a really cool, dark story. I mean, like, we're talking darker than the darkest Studio Ghibli kind of stuff, but maybe something that could, I wouldn't say influence, but could be in the ballpark of what they do. But it opens in a really dark way. It's a fable, fairy tale kind of story, but it's just, I absolutely love this movie. It says, magically gifted boy Sasuke lives in peace deep in the forest with his animal pals and Oyu, his elder sister, after their forest sanctuary is violated by a demon witch who devours one of Sasuke's animal companions. That's what I'm talking about, the darkness. Sasuke vows vengeance. Leaving the forest, he sets out to master his magical gifts, making a pilgrimage to the home of the wizard Hakunsai. Anyway, it's sort of an adventure that he goes on as a kid, and it is really, really cool. But I would love to see it upgraded to Blu-ray, because the animation, I think, would be even more vibrant than it is on this disc, and it does look good. but this is definitely a discovery that I made because of Warner Archive, and I've made a lot of discoveries because of Warner Archive over the years. And this is one of my favorites, and one that I just had to call out as a Blu-ray possible, if they ever could, or if someone else could, get this on Blu-ray. Really good stuff. Magic Boy. Okay, some comedies. We got Safe Men. This is from John Hamburg, who would go on to do the Meet the Parents movies, I think. And Along Came Polly and some other big... He also did I Love You Man, which I really like. I think that movie's pretty great. I'm a big fan of that one. But this is before that, and it's sort of a cult item with a cult cast. You've got Sam Rockwell, Steve Zahn, Mark Ruffalo, Paul Giamatti. It is Michael Lerner. It is really something special and very funny. I've heard it called Bottle Rocket Light. You could definitely compare it to Bottle Rocket if you like that movie. This is in that vicinity, and it's just about two guys played by Sam Rockwell and Steve Zahn, who are entertainers. They do singing for bar mitzvahs and old folks' homes, and they're not quite on the life path they want to be on. One night, they go into a bar, and they are mistaken for two notorious safecrackers. Mark Ruffalo is one of those safecrackers. And because of they order a certain drink, and Paul Giamatti, who is like the right-hand man type to this Jewish mobster, played by Michael Lerner, who was great, thinks it must be the guys. And so he's like, we need you to do a job for us. And they try to fake their way into it, and the results are quite hilarious. So it's a lot of fun, sort of mob comedy. And I like this one a lot. There's the back. Oh yeah, Harvey Fierstein is in this, and yeah, it's really a blast. I like it a lot, and it has deleted scenes and a commentary with Hamburg and Sam Rockwell and Steve Zahn, which is very good, and a really cool short that he did called Tick, and that's great as well. So I would love it if the Blu-ray version would have all that stuff. This is another one you can get digitally if you haven't seen it in a while. I think it's on Vudu and Amazon, those platforms, in HD, so you can watch it in HD, but let's get a nice edition of this. Somebody do this. Good movie. Safe Men. Another comedy. How I Got Into College. This is the third in the Savage Steve Holland trilogy. I should probably be talking about One Crazy Summer. I absolutely love One Crazy Summer, and there's no Blu-ray for that. So, let me just put in a plug for that right now. That is obviously the follow-up to Better Off Dead that still stars John Cusack and is great, and would be another, easy Blu-ray, I would think, for Warner Archive to do. They've done stuff like that. They've done comedies along those lines. But anyway, this is different characters, but I still think it's adorable and very funny, and the great cast, as you see there: Anthony Edwards, Phil Hartman, Nora Dunn, Lara Flynn Boyle, Corey Parker. You might not remember him. I don't know him too well outside of this movie, but basically it's about a couple high school kids and how they're stressing about going to college. There's a lot of meta stuff in it. Like there's one, running joke where, you have like two guys in a boat. If water is draining from the boat at this speed, how long will it take for them to bail the water out before they sink, or what rate, And so you have like, the two characters responding to the amount of time it's taking these kids to solve the problem, and just kind of like going like, hey guys, hurry up. We're going to, anyway, that's just the kind of meta humor that you expect and enjoy from Savage Steve Holland, obviously director of Better Off Dead, which I've talked about here. Great comedy. But this is just a really cute movie, Anthony Edwards plays this guy who works at this one specific college. He's trying to recruit certain good students, and Corey Parker's student is not a great grade kind of student, but he has some creativity, and so it's just a lot of fun to watch them go through this sort of torturous, like, am I going to get into the college I want to get into? At the time I saw it, in late high school, early college, it definitely resonated. And I still think it does to a degree, although I feel like, I don't know, not that kids aren't, they still want to go to college, obviously, but it just feels different. The process feels different now somehow. But this movie is absolutely charming, and unfortunately is a Fox movie. So I guess Disney owns this now. I don't know. Somebody put it on Disney Plus or something, you know, so people can see this movie, because it is a lot of fun. And I don't know. I hope this is the one I'm most concerned will not get a Blu-ray because of its, you know, Fox catalog title status. But here's hoping, you know. Or if we get One Crazy Summer, that'd be great too. But let's round out the trilogy. Then I got a couple classics to round this out. This is my W.C. Fields comedy collection. There's 2 of these. Both are great. I'm going to start with It's a Gift, which is in this set. There's not really much. There's like 5 discs in here. It's just one of my favorite comedies of all time. It's W.C. Fields at his finest. Like, if you're used to sort of like My Little Chickadee kind of W.C. Fields, that's not really, in my mind, representative of him. I mean, it is, but he also did these very great, like, henpecked husband roles. And in this movie, he plays a guy who runs a general store. He's very put upon by his wife. He has 2 kids that don't really respect him. And, God, there's some great... The structure of it is so strange, because you'll have a long scene of them at home harassing each other. I mean, most of W.C. Fields' comedy is based on characters annoying each other. So it's kind of like a little bit of Buster Keaton, but different, because you'll have a scene where W.C. Fields is trying to shave in the bathroom, and his daughter comes in and she keeps opening the mirror, so he keeps having to step to the left of the mirror, and then he, you know, tries to hang a mirror from the ceiling, and then anyway. A lot of that is sort of sight gag kind of stuff, and they're really good. There's a particular scene where he's on a porch trying to sleep, and people keep coming up and down this multi-leveled porch for this building they live in, and yelling up at each other, or people are dropping things, and it still makes me bust out laughing to a degree I can't even express. I watch it at least once a year. Like I said, one of my favorite comedies ever. It's a gift. And I think Joe Dante might have turned me on to it. I know he's a huge fan of it. And it's just so funny. And it has to do with this family maybe inheriting some land in California. But most of the movie takes place, you know, in and around the general store, which those scenes are great. And it's... Yeah, I can't recommend it enough. And it's another one that Criterion put out, The Bank Dick, which I have over there on DVD, and that still has not gotten a Blu-ray upgrade either. But I would like It's a Gift first, please. As much as I like The Bank Dick, and I think The Bank Dick is super funny and will also give you a great impression of W.C. Fields and what his comedy was about. But this whole set is really good. Although a few of these have gotten... Maybe not. You Can't Cheat an Honest Man. I think that's on Blu. I don't know. A lot of this stuff needs to still come out. This is Universal stuff, and I hope Kino Lorber, but I feel like I heard Kino Lorber is not putting out It's a Gift. So my only hope is that somebody else got it. Please, Criterion, somebody. W.C. Fields box set. And then last but not least, a classic noir dramedy with Robert Mitchum, Jane Russell, Vincent Price. One of my favorite Vincent Price roles of all time. You have Robert Mitchum playing sort of a hard luck gambler, and he gets put in a position to go hang out at this resort, and it's unclear. We know that there's something shady about it, so he goes there, and he runs into Jane Russell, and they hit it off, and she is stunning and super awesome in this movie. And they encounter this aging actor played by Vincent Price. His character's name is Mark Cardigan, which is one of my favorite character names ever. And he's a guy who is just very theatrical, like will show his own movies to the people at the resort. You know, they'll have a movie night and he'll put on one of his movies. And he's just very like, sort of like if Errol Flynn looked like Vincent Price, but wasn't quite He's not Errol Flynn, right? In terms of the physicality and everything. But he and Mitchum together are dynamite, and the movie has dark moments. It has very funny moments. It's really and produced by Howard Hughes, of course. Jane Russell's involved. It's directed by John Farrow. This is part of a noir box set. I think several of the films, I want to say On Dangerous Ground and The Setup, maybe. I don't know if that was in this set, actually, now. But I feel like a lot of these movies have made it to Blu-ray, and this one has not for some reason. And it is really, really fantastic. If you like Robert Mitchum and you like him being the cool Robert Mitchum character, this movie is both delightful and just fantastic. One of my favorites of the era. Yeah, good stuff. RKO. So anyway, that's it for this round of my Blu-ray upgrade wish list. I will do more of these, so hopefully you don't hate them. But it's a lot of fun to talk about these movies, and cross my fingers that maybe someday we'll get some of this stuff on Blu-ray. But just to kind of keep them in the conversation. When something's not on Blu-ray and sometimes isn't easy to stream, although most of these are, I feel like movies start to disappear and disintegrate into the background, and I don't want to see that happen with a lot of these films that I love. So that's part of the reason I do these. I know we can all talk about the latest Blu-ray releases, and I'd love to do that, catalog titles all day long. But at the end of the day, part of this channel is about continuing the conversation about movies and movies that we love. And that's why I invite you in the comments below to talk about some movies. And I had some great stuff in the last video I did in the comments about things people wanted to see on Blu-ray. Please do so again. If anything else has occurred to you since the last one, or if you've just seen this video for the first time and you have some movies that you really wish were on Blu-ray, I would love to hear about it. And so if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you for watching. Bye-bye.